Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, second to last day of Americade, and we're doing a little riding on a slightly different bike than mine. So if you looked at my shorts, and I don't know when this will come out, so it's probably a while ago now, I unfortunately blew the oil pump drive gear off my bike. I'll make a whole video on that. But anyway, my bike is down for Americade. Oopsie. But I have a good friend who's letting me borrow this beautiful 2001 Dyna FXD. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. So this bike is not stock, let's put it that way. So first of all, it's got a 95 cubic inch kit, cams and headwork and all that jazz. I don't know how much headwork, but the guy he bought it from claims it made like 95 horse. So that's pretty good for what would have originally been an 88 cubic inch motor making 60 horse or whatever. So it goes just fine. I mean, these bikes are light. These early model Dynas were only 20 or 30, 40 pounds heavier than a rubber mount Sportster. So I stuck a mirror on it. My buddy loves taking mirrors off all his crap. I feel bad to mess with his bike, but I had to put a mirror on it. I freaking hate riding without mirrors. I did it on one of his other bikes once, and it just drives me nuts. Just a little something to see what's going on behind me is phenomenal. But anyway, so what else has been done to this thing? It's got taller suspension. So he did +1 tube extensions, so it's FXDX height. And it's got FXDX rear shocks that it actually came with. So the whole bike is basically, it's FXDX spec minus the internals of the front end. So it's kind of more similar to a DX at this point. It does still have the single front rotor, but somebody put the dual gauges on it. So it's a nice little setup. I really like it so far. But what's really I found interesting, this thing is actually more cramped than my Sportster. Like, my legs are more kind of in the tank and in my knees than my Sporty, which I never really would have thought. I haven't ridden an early model Dyna in so long, but it's a pretty small bike. They're not much. They're really barely physically bigger than the rubber mount Sportsters, which I just find very interesting. But with that said, it's hard for me to even describe, but this thing feels so similar to my bike, being that they both have similar suspension height and riding position, and even the bars are similar, at least similar enough. It's kind of terrifying how similar these bikes are. I'm going to take this thing up a windy road here to kind of show you guys what we're talking about. But it's got a little bit older tires on it, so I'm not going to be blasting the twisties, but this thing will handle it. It's got great lean angles. It's got a 2-in-1 super trap. So it's got good ground clearance, on the exhaust side. It just sounds good, performs good. Nice and quiet at these speeds too. My exhaust is so freaking loud. This thing's just purring right along at 3,300 RPM. I don't know how accurate the speedometer is. Probably pretty accurate. Whoever put this bike together did a pretty good job on it. So I'm pretty confident in that sense. But it's a work in progress for him. I think he's going to turn it into kind of like a stunt build. Cut the fender, do the skid plate, all that jazz. Newer suspension. But for now, it's just a great cruiser. I would almost put it in the performance cruiser category. It needs some new tires and a second front rotor or some kind of upgraded brakes. But other than that, it's pretty much in that category. The front end's got progressive springs in it, we found out, that somebody put in. And he just threw some 20-weight fork oil in there. And it handles pretty awesome for $10 upgrade. We actually added a preload spacer too, because the front end was, they're all freaking saggy. So now the front end sits at a nice height. It's just everything's good about it. It handles nice. I don't have any wobbles of any sort really, even on these old ass tires. They're not crazy old, guys. They're like 10 years old, which isn't great, but they're not like horrendously old. But we'll definitely be getting new ones on this as soon as possible. But it's okay for now. I'm speeding. I don't know. I think the speedometer's off, honestly. I don't feel like I'm going this fast. I'll get my GPS up at some point. But, yeah, what else is different about this thing compared to mine? Not a a whole heck of a lot really else to talk about. Like I said, the seating position is actually really aggressive. My legs are up, but I feel good. Like, I feel like I really got some good agility on this thing. Just like my bike, but it almost feels easier to handle than my bike. Like, it actually feels slightly more nimble, which is kind of a crazy thing to say because it's a little heavier and it's a big twin and all that, but I'm starting to understand why guys drool over these early model Dynas. However, I don't know. I still think I'd go FXR if I was going to go early model Dyna, just because it's that much, even a couple pounds lighter and all that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. The bars on this are just some kind of like drag bar, give or take. I don't know what you really want to even call them. I mean, drag bars have to be straight, right? So maybe they're not drag bars. But oh, I thought I blew by my road. It's the next one. But we'll see how it handles the twisties. And then we'll kind of be able to close out this review. The bar positioning's fine. I don't know. I like different bars. I kind of like the stock bars. I know everyone rips them off like immediately, but I've never hated them. I just put the stock bars on risers, and I'm pretty happy with that. So let's see how this road treats us. I'm not going to be going crazy on this thing. I don't trust the tires. Okay. She's got it. Not quite the handling on my bike. Probably more just because of the suspension setup than anything else. But it feels great. Good power. I mean, it's not, it's probably not quite as fast as mine, I guess, but it's more than enough power. I'm not a freaking power junkie personally. I just want a good sound, roll into it, get that good Harley torque. That's all I personally need. Wow, I really like this bike, guys. I really like this bike. She feels good. This feels really good for a very stock suspension setup. I mean, the rear shocks are 100% stock DX. Like I said, and the front end is barely removed from stock. And it feels awesome. I'm actually impressed. It feels better than my bike did with a very similar suspension setup that I had on it years ago. Yeah, definitely not as powerful as mine, but more than enough. I could have probably, I could have definitely dropped a gear there too. But she goes okay. He bumped the rev limiter down because he says he's like, it feels like it's screaming at 6,700. That's where it was set. I don't know. I've been busting his balls about it. But his bike, I wanted to change it back, but before I rode it, but I wasn't going to do that. I don't need to be going that fast on this thing anyway. Very cool. Very, very cool. Slow her down. Also, these are the Dunlop like 404s or whatever comes stock. They're not the stock tires, like they were replaced, but they are the stock type. And I don't think they have enough lean angle for this bike, so I wouldn't want to push this thing to pegs if for no other reason than that. Yeah, this thing could handle a lot more cornering force. I'm just babying it because I don't really trust these tires. Although it's a nice dry, warm day, so they're probably fine. But it feels great in the corners. Zero complaints. Very good handling. I like it, guys. It's farting a lot, the carb, and it's really getting those lean pops on decel. So, I don't really know why. It was professionally tuned at one point, dynoed and everything. I think it was dynoed. Yeah, because the guy, I don't know if he has dyno sheets for it or not. But, kind of interesting. Nothing seems to have changed, so. But maybe this needs a little richer pilot or something. I don't know. Not a huge deal. Seems to run good. Wow, there's a mid-corner bump right there. But when you hit it at speed like that, it usually upsets the bike a little. This thing handled it perfect. Very cool. Well, friends, if you look closely, this is not my motorcycle. And one might ask the very reasonable question, Jake, why aren't you on your motorcycle? Well, you see, I pulled into my buddy's house and my oil light came on. And I was like, well, that's a little weird. My oil light surely shouldn't be on. So I didn't actually think too much of it. I figured, the light's probably broke. So I did a little light-duty diagnostic. And then I kind of made the determination of like, all right, let me just start it again and see what happens. Long story short, it started tapping a little bit. Holy crap, the freaking oil pump or something actually went bad. Yeah. So needless to say, I think my bike needs an oil pump. So that kind of sucks. But I'm glad I caught it and wasn't on the middle of the highway. It just yeeted itself into another planet. So that's at least good. But it's always an adventure. So what am I riding, you ask? Well, this is an 883 Sportster Low, I guess, right? Hugger, whatever they used to call them. Whatever they call them nowadays. This has thrashing bars and trees on it. It's got a good little riding position. It's my buddy's girlfriend's bike. She hopped on with him and I'm riding her bike. She's pretty damn cool, I must say. Yeah, so it's a nice little bike. 883, plenty of power. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but you know, it's pretty fun. Exhaust. Only niggle, not killing. Alright guys, well, I think we'll close her out here. Nice bike. I approve. I'm going to enjoy the ride. So, thanks for watching. God bless America. We'll see you in the next one.